To discuss more on Apple's big news today is Bloomberg opinion tech columnist Alex Webb. Alex, we got news this morning that I think surprised a lot of people. Apple saying it would cut the fee that it takes from app developers from 30% to 15%, but there are some catches here. Take us through what's going on.
Yeah, so this is really important, that it's really only app developers who generate less than $1 million in revenue in any given year. They are the ones that are affected, and anything over that, they will continue to pay the 30% rate, not the 15%. This is really significant because actually those small developers, while there might be more of them, actually generate a tiny, tiny proportion of the total revenue for the App Store.
Less than $1 million? I mean, that's like a tiny amount of revenue. That doesn't even take into account any of the companies that I think and the app developers that I think have been complaining about this for years, right?
Well, we have had complaints from the smaller app developers, but the ones making the most noise are, Spotify and Epic Games. That's the company that makes Fortnite. These companies, of course, record far more than $1 million a year in revenue. And nonetheless, strategically, given some of the heat that Apple is getting, it probably is quite a canny play.
What does the change mean for the average person who's using the App Store? Are we going to see any changes here, or does this all just have to do with Apple's own accounting?
It should make no difference whatsoever to ordinary consumers using the App Store. Beyond perhaps, I think Apple would like to make the case that it will attract smaller developers into the store, but often those apps which with less than $1 million in revenue a year, they're quite hard to find. They're not surfaced terribly easily, so it's unlikely to make any significant difference to you or me.
So what about when it comes to regulators here? Big tech is turned into this pejorative phrase, certainly here in the United States, and I would imagine in Europe too, where regulators have actually been more aggressive when it comes to regulating American tech companies than U.S. regulators have. What is the signal that Apple is sending regulators by making this cut?
It's really interesting when you, for example, see the big tech CEOs up in front of Congress as they were in August, or was it July? Anyway, over the summer, the tone of conversation was very much talking about the impact that big tech has on small businesses. And in the US, that is absolutely the focus. So Apple here, by saying, okay, well, then we'll make life easier for small businesses, potentially neuter some of that,
Yeah, Alex, I want to jump in here real quick because we're working on your connection. I wonder if this foreshadows
any much effect in the European side.
I wonder if this affects how Apple is thinking about this moving forward. For example, do you think that it sort of foreshadows other concessions that Apple will make here? Because the fight for companies like Spotify and others is certainly not over.
I think it certainly foreshadows, the real fear they have, or is indicative of the real fear they have of regulation. The regulation could actually do something quite meaningful, so they're trying to preempt it. They are taking this threat seriously. Otherwise, they wouldn't have changed this. They'd sort of signaled they were not keen on changing anything, and so this is, in that sense, a significant concession.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.